Our top story on the broadcast is a big political fight over the alleged land scam at Ayodhya. The Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra is in the line of opposition fire over the purchase of a piece of land near the Ayodhya railway station. Both the Aam Aadmi Party and the Samajwadi Party insist that land bought from owners at 2 crore rupees was then sold to the trust at 18.5 crore rupees in under 10 minutes. The trust has denied the charge. Kumar Abhishek brings you this report.
2 crores to 18.5 crores in a matter of minutes. A staggering 825% profit in just 300 seconds for the seller. This is what the opposition has alleged happened in an Ayodhya land purchase by the Ram Janmabhoomi Trust.
भगवान राम के मंदिर बनाने के लिए चंदा देने वाले लोगों के साथ विश्वासघात किया जा रहा है। हरीश पाठक और कुसुम पाठक ने 7:10 पे ये जमीन रवि मोहन तिवारी और अंसारी जी को बेची 2 करोड़ रुपए में, और 2 करोड़ रुपए की ये जमीन रवि मोहन तिवारी और सुल्तान अंसारी साहब ने बेच दी 18 करोड़ 18.5 करोड़ रुपए में राम जन्मभूमि में मंदिर बनाने के नाम पे।
What makes the deal murky is the allegation that there was only a difference of minutes in signing both the deals. Trust members Anil Mishra and Ayodhya Mayor Rishikesh Upadhyay are listed as witnesses in the two deals. The opposition is asking who's the actual beneficiary of 16 crore rupees profit made in this land deal. Sultan Ansari, the man who bought the land initially and sold it minutes later to the trust, wasn't home when the India Today team reached his residence in Suhati village.
ये बीच बहती गांव में एक आलीशान बंगला, एक आलीशान घर आप देख पा रहे हैं। ऐसा लगता है देख के कि काफ़ी ज़्यादा बड़े अमाउंट में इसको बनाया गया है। और तस्वीरें आप देखिए, आज तक ग्राउंड जीरो पर आया है पड़ताल करने के बाद। मैं आपको अंदर भी ले चलूँगा। काफ़ी नया न्यूली बिल्ड घर नज़र आता है। ऊपर टेरेस भी आप देख पाएंगे यहाँ पर, और छत भी पड़ी हुई है। दरवाजे आपको देखेंगे नए हैं, कूलर नया लगा है। ऐसा लगता है कि सब कुछ अभी तुरंत हुआ है। ऐसा भी हम कह सकते हैं, शायद एक मुट्ठी को पैसा एक मुश्त मिला है, जिसके बाद ये सब चीज़ें बनाई गई हैं।
The Ayodhya Temple Trust has denied any wrongdoing in the land deals.
हमको आरोप लगते ही रहते हैं। मैं 100 साल से आरोप ही देख रहे हैं हम लोग। हम पर महात्मा गांधी की हत्या के आरोप लगे। आरोप से हम चिंता नहीं करते। आप भी चिंता मत करिए, आप खूब लगाइए। यू आर यस, आई एक्सेप्ट, आई रेडी, यू आल्सो, यू डू इट। आप अपना काम करिए, हम अपना काम करेंगे।
The BJP is treading cautiously as the issue has snowballed into a political scandal.
देखिए, जिनके हाथ राम भक्तों के खून से रंगे हैं वो सलाह ना दें। अगर कोई किसी ने भी गड़बड़ किया होगा, ट्रस्ट उसकी जांच करेगा और जो दोषी होंगे उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होगी। और रामलला का भव्य मंदिर निर्माण का काम चल रहा है। भव्य मंदिर का निर्माण का कार्य होगा।
A mandir in the name of Lord Ram, the Maryada Purushottam king, is now caught in an unsavory scandal. The charges of financial irregularities have cast a shadow on the Ayodhya Temple Trust, which has raised over 3,200 crore rupees till March the 31st for the construction of the temple. With Kumar Abhishek and Samarth Srivastav in Ayodhya, Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me on India First is Sanjay Singh, Aam Aadmi Party Member of Parliament. Sanjay जी, भारतीय जनता पार्टी आप पर राम मंदिर के मार्ग में बाधा डालने का आरोप लगा रही है। बीजेपी का कहना है कि उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार ने सर्कल रेट का 4 गुना देने का फैसला किया था। तो 5 करोड़ 80 लाख की अगर बात करें सर्कल रेट की, तो इस पर लगभग 23 करोड़ लागत आती है। तीर्थ क्षेत्र ने तो 18.5 करोड़ में यह जमीन ली है। बीजेपी का दावा है सस्ते में।
देखिए, पहली बात, यह जमीन हरीश पाठक और कुसुम पाठक से खरीदी गई।
ठीक,
2 करोड़ रुपए में खरीदी गई और 5 करोड़ 80 लाख इसकी मालियत है जमीन की। रवि मोहन तिवारी और सुल्तान अंसारी ने यह जमीन खरीदी
जी
18 मार्च 2021 को शाम को 7:10 पे। इसमें जो ट्रस्टी हैं अनिल कुमार मिश्रा जी और ये मेयर साहब हैं ऋषिकेश उपाध्याय जी, ये इस खरीद के गवाह हैं। और ये अनिल कुमार मिश्रा जी की तस्वीर है। ठीक 5 मिनट बाद यही जमीन रवि मोहन तिवारी और सुल्तान अंसारी ने 18.5 करोड़ रुपए में ट्रस्ट को बेच दी। आप मुझे बताइए, दुनिया में कहीं भी आपने
जी
5.5 लाख रुपए प्रति सेकंड और 3 करोड़ रुपए 3 करोड़ 30 लाख रुपए प्रति मिनट जमीन महंगे होते सुना है आपने? टोक्यो हो, न्यूयॉर्क हो, लंदन हो, पेरिस हो, फ्रांस हो, जर्मनी हो, कहीं आपने सुना है इतनी जल्दी जमीन महंगी होते हुए?
देखिए, आप इसे 5 मिनट या 10 मिनट में 9 गुना दाम बढ़ा बता रहे हैं। बीजेपी ये कह रही है कि ये 10 मिनट का नहीं 10 साल की बात है। दोनों पक्षों में 2011 में इस पर करार हुआ था, उसके वो दस्तावेज दिखा रहे हैं, और 2020 में ये पूरा हुआ। तो ये 10 मिनट का नहीं 10 साल का खेल है।
ये बहुत अच्छा, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन आपने पूछा। मेरे ख्याल से सबसे अच्छा प्रश्न है ये, इसका मैं जवाब दे देता हूं। ये चंपत राय जी की चिट्ठी है और चंपत राय जी ने अपनी चिट्ठी में लिखा है कि उक्त भूमि को खरीदने के लिए वर्तमान विक्रेता गणों ने वर्षों पूर्व जिस मूल्य पर रजिस्टर्ड अनुबंध किया था, उस भूमि को उन्होंने 18 मार्च 2021 को बैनामा कराया, तत्पश्चात ट्रस्ट के साथ अनुबंध किया।
जी
ये कह रहे हैं कि कुसुम पाठक और हरीश पाठक ने रवि मोहन तिवारी और सुल्तान अंसारी के साथ वर्षों पहले रजिस्टर्ड एग्रीमेंट किया था। और आप जानते हैं गौरव जी कि जब कोई रजिस्ट्री या बैनामा होता है तो इसमें इस बात का जिक्र होता है, क्या पूर्व में आपने कोई एडवांस लिया, क्या आपका कोई रजिस्टर्ड एग्रीमेंट था, क्या ये जमीन लोन पे है, क्या इस जमीन को लेकर कोई करार हुआ है, क्या यह जमीन बंधक है, क्या यह किसी को हस्तांतरित हुई है। और इसमें जवाब क्या लिखा हुआ है ये देख लीजिए। यह रजिस्ट्री का पेपर है जिसमें लिखा हुआ है ये जमीन बंधक नहीं, ये जमीन हस्तांतरित नहीं, इस जमीन पे कोई लोन नहीं, और ये जमीन सभी प्रकार के भारों और प्रभारों से मुक्त है। ये तो रजिस्ट्री के पेपर में लिखा हुआ है। इसका मतलब कुसुम पाठक, हरीश पाठक, सुल्तान अंसारी और रवि मोहन तिवारी में पहले कोई एग्रीमेंट हुआ ही नहीं। अगर हुआ होता तो इसमें जिक्र होता, इसमें जिक्र नहीं है। तो एक सच को छुपाने के लिए कितना झूठ बोला जाएगा। भाजपा वाले कह रहे हैं हम 18 करोड़ में खरीदें, चाहे 1800 करोड़ में खरीदें। अरे भाई, ये आपका निजी पैसा थोड़ी है। आपके घर का जो पैसा है उसको आप चौराहे पे सारे नोट ला के जला दीजिए, हमें क्या दिक्कत है। आपके पास पैसा बहुत बड़ा है, आप उसको नाले में फेंक दीजिए।
नहीं, लेकिन अगर
ये तो देश के करोड़ों राम भक्तों का चंदा है जिन्होंने अपना पेट काट के पैसा दिया है।
ठीक,
उन माताओं बहनों ने अपना गहना बेच के भव्य राम मंदिर के लिए चंदा दिया है।
ठीक, नहीं, लेकिन आप सीबीआई और ईडी की जांच की मांग कर रहे हैं। अगर ऐसा है, मान लीजिए अगर सीबीआई और ईडी की जांच नहीं होती, तो क्या आप इस मुद्दे पर इन सबूतों के आधार पर अदालत में इस मामले को उठाएंगे?
देखिए, इसमें दो बड़ा विषय है। पहली बात तो गौरव जी, इसमें भारतीय जनता पार्टी के विधायकों ने, सांसदों ने, मंत्रियों ने, मुख्यमंत्रियों ने चंदा इकट्ठा कराया ट्रस्ट के नाम पे करोड़ों रुपए। उन सबकी जवाबदेही बनती है। और मैं दिल से कह रहा हूं कि आज जैसे सारी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ने बोला, उन भाजपा के विधायकों और सांसदों को भी जरूर आवाज उठानी चाहिए, क्योंकि इन करोड़ों लोगों के चंदे को कुछ लोग अगर चोरी कर रहे हैं तो उस पर उनको भी आवाज उठानी चाहिए, नंबर एक। दूसरी बात, देश के प्रधानमंत्री ने सर्वोच्च सदन में इस ट्रस्ट की घोषणा की। सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के आदेश पे ये ट्रस्ट बना। अगर इसमें कोई गड़बड़ी हो रही है तो प्रधानमंत्री जी को सामने आके इस पूरे मसले पे जवाब देना चाहिए। तो ये दो विषय है जिसपे मुझे लगता है कि, और जांच के पहले आप कैसे क्लीन चिट दे रहे हैं? पूरी की पूरी भाजपा की आर्मी क्लीन चिट दे रही है, जांच हो जाने दीजिए।
ठीक, नहीं, लेकिन आपके लिए भी
पानी हो जाएगा।
ठीक, आपके लिए भी ये मुद्दा क्या केवल राजनीति के लिए है, या आप इसे अदालत में लेकर जाएंगे ताकि अपने लॉजिकल कंक्लूजन तक पहुंचे?
थोड़ा इंतजार करते हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं देखते हैं, और उसके बाद फिर हम लोग निर्णय लेंगे।
क्योंकि कहा यह भी जा रहा है कि जो आम आदमी पार्टी है वो उत्तर प्रदेश में अपनी राजनीतिक जमीन तलाश रही है। इस समय आप लखनऊ में हैं और ज्यादातर समय आप उत्तर प्रदेश में अब रहते हैं, तो क्या ये जो राम मंदिर का ट्रस्ट पर आपका आरोप है, ये उत्तर प्रदेश की राजनीति में आपका लॉन्च पैड है?
नहीं, मुझे लगता है कि पिछले 1 साल से लगातार जितने भी मुद्दे उत्तर प्रदेश में आए, सतीश द्विवेदी की भाई का मुद्दा किसने उठाया, उनके भ्रष्टाचार का मुद्दा किसने उठाया, ऑक्सीमीटर थर्मोमीटर में घोटाले का मुद्दा किसने उठाया, इन सारे मुद्दों को देख लीजिए। इंद्रमणि त्रिपाठी व्यापारी की हत्या का मुद्दा किसने उठाया, हाथरस कांड में मेरे ऊपर वहां पे हमला कराया गया। तो सारे मुद्दों पे लगातार, बिकरू कांड का मुद्दा किसने उठाया, खुशी दुबे का मुद्दा किसने उठाया, तो हम लोगों ने उठाया ये सारे मुद्दे। लेकिन ये जो मुद्दा है इसको चुनाव से जोड़कर मत देखिए। मैं फिर निवेदन करता हूं और भाजपा के लोगों से भी अनुरोध कर रहा हूं, ट्रस्ट के लोगों से भी कह रहा हूं, ये देश के करोड़ों राम भक्तों की आस्था का प्रश्न है
जी।
सब चाहते हैं वहां भव्य राम मंदिर बने, लेकिन चंदा चोरी नहीं होनी चाहिए।
ठीक,
एक एक रुपए का सही इस्तेमाल होना चाहिए।
ठीक। संजय जी, आप मेरे साथ जुड़े इंडिया फर्स्ट पर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। लेट्स नाउ थ्रो दिस ओपन। Let me now bring in our guests on the broadcast. Let's widen the debate. Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party joins me. Sanju Verma of the BJP and Shriraj Nair of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad are with me on India First. Sanju Verma, the opposition says, how can they trust the trust when a property that was sold for 2 crore rupees was then sold to the trust for 18.5 crore rupees in under 10 minutes?
You know, Gaurav, I think everybody knows the truth, but you know, the compulsions of politics have forced some people like Sanjay Singh to indulge in the kind of politicking that he's doing. I just heard him a few seconds back on your channel, that interview. First and foremost, this 2 crore thing, let's settle this. There were 3 agreement to sell, not sale deed, agreement to sell executed between Kusum Pathak and Sultan Ansari in 2011,
Yes.
2017 and 2019. The last one being executed on the 17th of September 2019. So the average price of all the agreements right since 2011 to 2019 was 2 crore. Point number 1. And these were just agreement to sell. So before moving to the next point, I will just say people have also asked, why did the trust not directly purchase from Kusum Pathak? Why did they have to purchase the said plot of land from Sultan Ansari and Ravi Tiwari? The limited response to that, Gaurav, is that Kusum Pathak was obliged to engage in a transaction with Sultan Ansari because she had already taken rupees 50 lakh as advance. And the other thing is, so one point that I want to make is that we could not have directly engaged with Kusum Pathak even if we wanted to. The second point is, please don't confuse that in 2 seconds or in 2 minutes or in 5 minutes, 2 crores became 18 crores. Not even 2019, 2011 se agreement to sell ki kai negotiations and discussions and documentations happened between Kusum Pathak and Sultan Ansari.
Okay.
So the land price skyrocketed not in 5 minutes, Sanjay Singh. The land prices skyrocketed since 2011. But a major chunk of the price increase happened post the Ayodhya judgment in November 2019. Yes, you might say, oh my God, a 9-time jump from 2 crores to 18 crores. Yes, the mayor of Ayodhya, I'm quoting very responsibly, Gaurav, on your channel, the mayor of Ayodhya has come out in the public domain and said that prices skyrocketed post the Ayodhya verdict because everybody now realizes that
But the
this
mayor
will
of
be a
Ayodhya is
hot
also a
spiritual
signatory,
hub of tourism.
is also a witness in both these cases, and perhaps he has
That
some
is
questions
fine.
to answer,
That
ma'am.
is fine.
Okay, I'll come
No,
back to
no,
you.
Gaurav.
Let me bring in Ghanshyam Tiwari. Let me bring in Ghanshyam Tiwari. Let's keep this conversational.
30 seconds.
Ma'am, you've made one point. Let me get
Rishikesh
Ghanshyam Tiwari to respond to
Gaurav,
this.
let me just finish what I'm saying. One important thing, Gaurav, which nobody seems to have pointed out, and I have been pointing this out in every debate in the last 24 hours. What are the papers Sanjay Singh showed? He showed the sale deed of 18.5 crore on a 10 rupee stamp paper. Who is he trying to kid? Are you kidding me?
If it is illegal, then the trust should have said it's illegal, and they haven't said it's illegal.
18.5 crore can be executed on a stamp paper of rupees 10.
Okay,
That is
Ghanshyam
pure common sense.
Tiwari, respond. The BJP also says the price was low because the property was earlier disputed. When the Waqf board clarified that the property was not theirs, the rates went up according to the mayor of Ayodhya, that Sanju Verma quotes.
Well, those who have decided to defend those who cheat and scam, you show them the facts and they'll make the arguments. Just yesterday, BJP spokesperson were making arguments as silly as there cannot be a registry at 7 p.m. This was the primary argument yesterday. There are other arguments, but the fact of the matter, underlying everything is that there is one party who made 16 crores in 5 minutes. And on that party's agreement, the names that have been written include a BJP leader, a very important BJP leader who's the mayor of Ayodhya. And the party whose beneficiary is a relative of that BJP leader. So how many such nexuses exist where somebody who's, have you come across, Gaurav, any deal where the broker makes 90% of the deal? What does the broker bring to the table? Just an agreement. And the broker is making 90% of it. What is the value addition? Because the broker can get the mayor to be a witness, can get a trustee to be a witness, and can enable the transaction with the trust. This is the only value addition.
Okay.
As far as the land documents are concerned, their Nirmohi Akhara, their spokesperson, have questioned the veracity of documents from Kusum Pathak itself. So there are multiple questions, but the biggest question is trust. This is more than public money. This is the money of people with faith. People in the face of pandemic let go their salaries, let go their money for treatment to donate for the trust. And if the trust cannot maintain proper institutional mechanisms and transparency, then the trust must respond. Your response cannot be that we have been accused of assassinating Mahatma Gandhi. This is the response of Secretary of the Trust.
Okay.
What kind of sham response is that?
Marble tiles of the state guest house where he was living. Who's alleging?
Gaurav, tell me.
One by one.
Ghanshyam
One by one.
Tiwari, whose leader Akhilesh Yadav even stole the bathroom fittings of the state guest house when he left the Uttar Pradesh state guest house.
Ma'am, but then
After he
if
was
two
sacked
wrongs
as the
do
chief
not make a
minister
right,
by the
two wrongs
electorate.
do not make a right, ma'am, and we'll stay on the issue at hand
there is
today.
no wrong. I told you that 18 crores is lower than the market price.
Well,
You
let
know
there
what
be
the circle rate is?
let there be
Circle
an
rate is 24
investigation.
crores.
Sriraj Nair, Sriraj Nair, it defies logic. It defies logic that witnesses in both the agreements are the same. Anil Mishra, a member of the trust, and the mayor of Ayodhya, Rishikesh Upadhyay. So they witnessed the land being sold at 2 crore rupees, and in 10 minutes they witnessed the land being sold at 18.5 crore rupees, all under 10 minutes. Why would that happen?
First of all, Gaurav, let me tell you, this is a clear hit and run case by the people who are known for it. Samajwadi, Aam Aadmi Party and Samajwadi Party, they are famous for this, especially Aam Aadmi Party. Now all these technical aspects has been told to you from morning. Again, I don't want to repeat it. See, we all know the basic fundamentals of real estate. The agreement to sell and sale deed both are different things. Then we know basic economics, that is demand and supply. After the Honorable Supreme Court's verdict, the land prices jumped like anything. And today, the Mr. Tiwari who sold the land, or Mr. Ansari was not traceable to Tiwari, who came on record and issued a press statement. ये मेरी 20 करोड़ की जमीन मैंने 18.5 करोड़ में बेची क्योंकि मेरी इस भगवान राम में आस्था है. So and now the ready reckoner rate or the circle rate, what we say, the circle rate is 5.8 crore rupees, and we all know circle rate and the market rates are always different. Now,
Ghanshyam Tiwari, respond to this point.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, will he sell his house to me on circle rate? So we cannot talk all this,
Okay. Let me just take a question with Ghanshyam Tiwari on this aspect. The BJP says the scam is an attempt by opposition parties to stall the construction of a Divya Bhavya Ram Mandir. That is what the BJP claims. It's being made by those who targeted Kar Sevaks and Ram Bhakts even in the past. Ghanshyam Tiwari. Sir, I'll come back to you. Sir, I'll come back to you. Ghanshyam Tiwari, respond, sir.
Gaurav, BJP is not even a concerned party. The fact that they are defending shows chor ki daadi mein tinka. They should, in the line of faith, the astha of millions who have donated in the face of pandemic, they should say that the trust should put every transaction in public eye and must ensure. Please don't shout.
One by one, Mr. Nair, when you were speaking, I didn't. Ghanshyam Tiwari did not interrupt, sir. Finish.
BJP does not have a locus standi. Everyone, you, me, beyond our politics, has to have only one request. Your defense cannot be that we are accused of assassinating Mahatma Gandhi. That is not a defense. The defense is here are all the papers. We will investigate everyone who's involved as a broker, and we cannot have deals where brokers make 90% of the deal money. And if this is the case, if there is an institutional nexus between a BJP leader, his family member who's making 90% of the money, we will either quash that deal or we'll put it to scrutiny of a CBI or ED or whoever.
Respond.
The
Fair enough. Let there be an inquiry. Look at the documents. Look at the timing. Anil Mishra and Rishikesh Upadhyay witnessing the 2 crore deal, witnessing the 18.5 crore rupee deal. If there is nothing to hide, let there be a probe. Sanju Verma.
Can I please come in?
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Gaurav, thank you. Gaurav, now I don't want to be interrupted. I'll give you a few facts. First of all, we've established that there's a difference between agreement to sell and a sale deed. So Sanjay Singh is comparing an agreement to sell of 2 crores with an actual sale deed of 18.5 crores, which is like comparing apples with watermelons. Point number 1. Point number 2, post the Ayodhya verdict, if there has been a 9-time jump in land prices, it is nothing abnormal. It is par for the course because everybody knows that in a few years from now, the Ram Janmabhoomi and surrounding areas will become the hub of spiritual tourism. Point number 3, people have said that a similar amount of land next to Faizabad airport, which is barely 8 to 10 kilometers from Ayodhya, the heart of Ayodhya, would cost between 24 to 26 crores, which means if I, the Ram Janmabhoomi Trust, have actually purchased the land at 18.5 crores and not 24 crores, I purchased it at a 22% discount to the prevailing market price. So if I have purchased it at a discount to the prevailing market price, how is it that I am cheating or profiteering in a manner that is immoral or immoral? Point number 4, who are the people who are making these allegations? A party which had fired at car savers on 30th October 1990 and has been known to be Hindu phobic. The Chacha Bhatija party of Mulayam Singh Yadav and Akhilesh Yadav. खुद की पार्टी तो संभलती नहीं है और दूसरों को भाषण देने
घनश्याम तिवारी, respond, sir. Respond, घनश्याम Tiwari. Okay, land was brought even cheaper than the circle rate. BJP claims the trust bargained and got the prices down below the circle rate. Respond to that. It's a bank transfer, no cash exchange like in the past. Okay, घनश्याम Tiwari is responding, ma'am.
Gaurav, the only locus standi that you and I will see, or your viewers will see, the only locus standi that you, if she continues to speak, how will I speak?
Ma'am, you've made your point. Let him respond to that point that land was bought cheaper than the circle rate. Respond, sir.
Gaurav,
ma'am, you made that point. Respond, sir.
The only locus standi that your viewer or you or I can see for BJP is that their leader is a witness and his relative is a beneficiary. That is the only singular locus standi of Bharatiya Janata Party in this entire thing. Otherwise, the trust should explain. It's a question to the trust. The trust should explain where are the meeting of minutes. How was the process determined that what should be the price? Who was the realtor who was consulted? This is public money. You cannot just come one day on an agreement and sign yourself as a witness in a private party that doesn't concern the trust, and 10 minutes later sign yourself as a witness in another agreement where you are transferring 18.5 CR and somebody is benefiting 16 CR. There is a scam unfolding.
One by one. Sanju Verma, let him finish his point. I will come to you. Both of you speaking simultaneously doesn't help. Mr. Tiwari, please respond, sir.
Gaurav, there's a scam unfolding. The question is not to the BJP. The question is to the trust. They have to put out a very clear, transparent institutional practice. What are the transactions? How are they done? Who are the brokers? Are the brokers BJP leaders? Are they benefiting? Is there an excess? Okay. That is the investigation angle. The only locus, and I'll repeat, that BJP has is their mayor is a witness and his relative is a beneficiary of this 16 crore.
Point made, sir. Sanju Verma, respond, because even the Congress says this is paap. This is adharm. Congress says it was the court that ordered the formation of a trust. Let there be a court-monitored probe, ma'am.
You know, Gaurav, I'm absolutely appalled at how a false narrative is being peddled to malign the Ram Mandir and the Ram Janmabhoomi Trust. Tell me, with a hand on your heart, who are the people involved with the trust? 92-year-old Supreme Court lawyer K. Paraswaran, who gave his entire life to the cause of the temple finally being paid. Nitya Gopal Das Maharaj Ji, Champat Rai. These are people who spent the last 30-40 years of their life to a particular cause. The cause is restoration of Hindu faith, building a Ram temple at Ram Janmabhoomi. These are not people who will swindle a couple of crores. That is something.
It's not a couple of crores. Let there be a probe. Let there be a probe. If the opposition says this is the scam, you are saying there is no scam. Let there be a probe. Let the probe establish there was no scam.
Yes. So why are you trying to prove that we are guilty until proven innocent? Otherwise, Sanjay Singh, tell me one thing. He said कि probe होना चाहिए. You are innocent till proven guilty. But Sanjay Singh is trying to prove that we are guilty until proven innocent. Why? And one more thing. Who is this Sanjay Singh? He and Arvind Kejriwal had apologized to the late Arun Jaitley in 2018 after making flimsy allegations. Who's Sanjay Singh? He even apologized to Ankit Bhargava.
So
a
the
member
point
of
is,
Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha,
so
after making flimsy allegations.
let facts
Who's
emerge.
Sanjay Singh?
Let facts
He has
emerge. That's
13
not the point,
FIR
ma'am. That's
filed
not the point.
against him in
If it's a
Uttar Pradesh.
false allegation,
Why are
it
you
will
interrupting
emerge.
me, Gaurav?
It will emerge that it is a false allegation that is being leveled. So you're open to the idea of an investigation. You're open to the idea of an investigation. Ma'am, I have 30 seconds. You're open to the idea of an investigation for truth to emerge, and if it's a false allegation, those who are leveling the allegation will apologize.
Don't put words in my mouth. Stop putting words in my mouth. You keep interrupting me, Gaurav. I've noticed you don't interrupt the others.
Which is not true, ma'am. Which is not true.
Can I make a last point?
You can
I
quickly
make a last
answer my
point, Gaurav?
question. I have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yes, Gaurav, I just want to say one thing. इल्जाम कौन लगा रहा है उनका ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड देखना जरूरी है या नहीं?
मैम, आरोप क्या है, उन आरोपों की सच्चाई क्या है, ये देखने की बनती है, but we leave it to our viewers to decide. We will leave it to our viewers to decide.
Did Sanjay Singh apologize to Akali Dal leader Vikram Majikya?
Ma'am, that's not the point here. That's not the point here. If there is an allegation, will it be investigated is my question. But that is all I have time for on this part of the show. Sanju Verma, Ghanshyam Tiwari and Sriraj Nair for joining me here on India First. Many thanks. The G7 has China in its crosshairs. US President Joe Biden at the picturesque Cornwall in the United Kingdom said there was plenty of action on China and talk of a common strategy on China. So from COVID to forced labor to human rights violations in Xinjiang and Hong Kong. But the question remains, will world leaders actually walk the talk on holding China's feet to fire?
China was on their mind when the leaders of the world's 7 wealthiest countries met in the picturesque Cornwall last weekend. And the communique at the end of the summit said it all, attacking China on multiple fronts from the COVID-19 pandemic to trade to even human rights. Led by the United States President Joe Biden, the G7 announced a Build Back Better World initiative to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative. B3W promises a transparent infrastructure partnership amounting to $40 trillion for developing nations by 2035.
I think we're in a contest, not with China per se, but a contest with autocrats, autocratic governments around the world, as to whether or not democracies can compete with them in the rapidly changing 21st century.
The G7 also took aim at Beijing on coronavirus, calling for a new study into the origin of the virus. The joint statement specified China had to respect human rights and fundamental freedoms in the Xinjiang province and maintain the autonomy for Hong Kong enshrined in the Sino-British Joint Declaration and Basic Law.
In the economy, on trade, we will find ourselves in a competitive position with China. We will compete with them. And still in a third area, there will be a need to contest China, particularly in the matters of human rights. And that's where all of us, as a G7 and partners, are aligned in ensuring that we are consistent.
Meanwhile, Beijing dismissed the communique issued by 7 countries. It took a dig at the G7, calling it a small group trying to dictate global decisions. With Biden bent on a stronger stance against China, particularly on human rights issues, the G7 Beijing war is far from over. Bureau Report, India Today.
India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan now joins me for more on the story. Geeta, would China be concerned, or will China still try and brazen it out, especially on issues of human rights, Xinjiang, Hong Kong? Is that China's Achilles heel?
Well, it certainly is, and it is increasingly becoming an area of real discomfort for the Chinese. But the fact of the matter, Gaurav, is that there is unity when it comes to the global community coming together and seeking real action against China on these two fronts that you mentioned. Look at the kind of sessions that they had at the G7, Gaurav, very clearly aimed at ensuring that democratic societies and democracies come together against aggressive authoritarian regimes. Specific conversations took place with regards to China, Chinese oppression, humanitarian crisis, as also human rights violations within China. And the conversations were so heated up at a given point that there are reports that internet was shut so that it could become an absolutely closed-door private affair. Having said that, for the Chinese, G7, Quad, all these fora, all these forums are anti-China forums, which is what they have spelled out. But instead of looking at how they should be coming together, being more inclusive, I suppose they are really going to brazen it out.
Okay, but look at Australia. Australia wants an investigation into COVID. So Australia appears to be standing up to China. But what about Europe? Is Europe willing to walk the talk, or are they still looking for a good deal with China while making all the right noises about human rights and trouble in Xinjiang and Hong Kong?
Well, that's a very important question that you asked, Gaurav. Australia was not this. We've seen an absolutely changed Australia post the pandemic. They are actually one country that has single-handedly taken on China on various fronts. We've seen America and India and other countries also do it, Japan included, but not as strongly as Australia has come out. Having said that, when you speak of the European Union, the votes are divided. We've seen a strong anti-China factor within the European Union, who have been moving resolutions after resolutions against China, seeking probe, looking at the origins. And then we have countries that are absolutely kowtowing and supporting the Chinese. And that certainly becomes a concern, because in the European Union, those are the countries that have blocked all moves that are considered anti-China. Hungary is an example and a case in point. Massive protests within Hungary itself. So yes, it's a divided house, but many of them coming together, saying at least on one count, speaking in one voice, which is that the probe should take place. Now, it's not just Australia, America, India has been talking very sensibly so that the WHO probe has to move forward, and we should be looking at origins, but has not pointed fingers like Australia and America has done towards China.
Geeta Mohan, for the moment, many thanks. Benjamin Netanyahu's 12-year tenure as Israel's Prime Minister has come to an end. The country's parliament approved a new coalition government led by the right-wing nationalist Naftali Bennett. Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to Twitter and congratulated Bennett, wished him all the best for a new journey, and also spoke of strengthening India-Israel ties.
In an improbable scenario few could have imagined, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's record 12-year run ended on Sunday, with Parliament approving a so-called government of change led by nationalist Naftali Bennett. The newly elected coalition, consisting of left-wing, centrist, right-wing, and Arab parties, was voted in by a razor-thin margin, with little in common except the desire to unseat Netanyahu, underscoring its likely fragility. Addressing Parliament before Bennett was sworn in, a combative Netanyahu indicated he isn't exiting quietly, saying, quote, "If we are destined to go into the opposition, we will do so with our heads held high until we can topple it," adding that would happen, quote, "sooner than people think." Interrupted by non-stop shouts of liar and shame from Netanyahu loyalists in Parliament, Bennett thanked the former prime minister for his, quote, "lengthy and achievement-filled service on behalf of the state of Israel." Netanyahu is Israel's longest-serving leader, having also served a first term from 1996 to 1999. But he was weakened by his repeated failure to clinch victory in 4 elections over the past 2 years, including a vote in March, and by an ongoing corruption trial in which he has denied any wrongdoing. Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas also engaged in over a week of intense warfare last month, with both sides criticized for civilian casualties. Under the coalition deal, Bennett, an Orthodox Jew and tech millionaire, will be replaced as prime minister by centrist Yair Lapid, a popular former television host, in 2023. The new government largely plans to avoid sweeping moves on hot-button international issues, such as policy toward the Palestinians, and to focus instead on domestic reforms. U.S. President Joe Biden congratulated Bennett, Lapid, and the rest of the new cabinet and said he looked forward to working with Bennett to strengthen the, quote, close and enduring relationship between their two countries.
As Supreme Court hears petitions seeking an SIT investigation into post-poll violence in Bengal, several intervention pleas have been moved by women who were allegedly not just attacked by groups of TMC workers, but also allegedly gang raped. 3 separate applications have been filed in the Supreme Court seeking an SIT probe into violence after elections.
Violence, vandalism, arson. The eruption was instantaneous. Just minutes after Mamata's huge victory in Bengal, these were the scenes in the state. Amidst the violence, allegations of sexual violence and gang rape also erupted. Allegations that quickly sank amidst a ferocious war of words between the victorious Trinamool and the new opposition BJP. And now, over a month later, fresh, horrific details of alleged gang rape have emerged. With multiple women from Bengal, including a minor girl, moving Supreme Court, seeking a detailed probe into what they call a wave of revenge rape by the ruling party.
As the Supreme Court is looking into the issue of post-poll violence in West Bengal, a chorus of complaints has come up regarding allegations of sexual assault by people who are said to be TMC workers. At least 3 applications have been filed in the Supreme Court by women claiming to have been victims of such rape and gang rape by TMC workers, as their family members support the opposition party.
Last month, when separate but similar allegations had emerged, the Trinamool and the Bengal police had dismissed them outright, calling some of them even fake. One of the new applicants, a 60-year-old woman, has detailed horrors starting the 3rd of May, saying her house was surrounded by a large mob of Trinamool supporters and loud threats hurled at her, asking her family to leave the house. She says her daughter-in-law was mercilessly beaten. At midnight, 5 Trinamool workers forced their way in, slapped, beat and tied her to her bed and gang raped her in front of her 6-year-old grandson. A separate plea alleges that a group of 4 men dragged 2 girls into a nearby jungle where they assaulted the 17-year-old and raped them one by one for more than an hour. The plea states that they were attacked and gang raped solely for their families' political affiliations and religious beliefs. In her plea before the Supreme Court, the 17-year-old alleges that she was sent to a child welfare home and wasn't allowed to meet her family. Similar allegations have been made in a plea by a 19-year-old woman. The petitions have sought transfer of the investigation in their cases to a special investigation team to be conducted outside Bengal.
See, the girls need to come out. The girls need to say. If the girls fear to come out, then we can't make up the story, because people will say that we have made up the stories. So that is where we are lacking.
There is such existence of any litigation which is sub judice. It is not proper to make any comment thereon, because the Honorable Supreme Court is dealing with that matter.
The Bengal government on May 25th had informed the court that a 5-judge bench of the Calcutta High Court had already taken cognizance of the issue and was hearing pleas for an SIT investigation. The state government also claimed that FIRs had been registered and arrests had begun to be made. However, the National Human Rights Commission had informed the court that an internal report had been filed by its committee which indicated that there were serious violations of human rights. The matter is expected to be heard by the Supreme Court on Tuesday. With Anisha Mathur, Bureau Report, India Today.
Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has shocked citizens after the state government gifted 32 luxury cars to bureaucrats across the state, a splurge which is said to have cost the state 9 crore rupees. And this comes at a time when the state has witnessed COVID crisis, a shortage of ambulance services and medicines.
Not one, not two, 32 luxury cars in all. These Kia Carnival MUVs lined up at Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao's residence for a review. The cars are being assigned to assistant collectors across the state. Each of these has cost the taxpayer 30 lakh rupees. The expenditure of around 9 crore 60 lakh rupees during the pandemic has come under severe criticism from the opposition.
TRS government led by Mr. Kalvakuntla Chandrasekhar Rao is completely responsible in handling public money. In this financial crisis times, Mr. Kalvakuntla Chandrasekhar Rao has the audacity to buy 32 Kia cars for his 32 additional collectors. Like a king, Mr. KCR is giving Nazarana to these collectors. It appears only to allure them and then make them as mere spectators to the misdeeds and misgovernance of Mr. KCR.
This splurge of public money is happening in the midst of a global pandemic, while the common people, poor people, are dying out of debt burden of COVID-19 hospitalization.
At a time when hospital beds and ambulances are the need of the hour, the Telangana government has been caught splurging money on these luxury cars. Anti-corruption activists have also called out the government for wasting money. They argue the funds could have been used to bolster the COVID fight, which is the real priority.
The clear message that Mr. CM KCR continues to send to people in the state is that he has absolutely no regard for the position that he holds and no respect for the priorities of the people at large.
The Telangana government has often found itself in controversies, earlier too, over extravagant purchases. The KCR administration had earlier provided Toyota Innova Crista vehicles to bureaucrats and Toyota Fortuners to the police department for their use. The Chief Minister himself has come under criticism in the past for renovations and air conditioners at his residence. With Ashish Pandey in Hyderabad, Bureau Report, India Today.
M.K. Stalin last year staged a symbolic protest against then AIADMK government over the reopening of liquor shops amidst the pandemic. Now, Stalin, as Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, is doing exactly the same. TASMAC shops have reopened in 27 districts of Tamil Nadu. So tipplers may be happy, the opposition is up in arms.
This is how locals celebrated the opening of liquor shops in districts of Tamil Nadu. After over a month, TASMAC liquor stores have been opened up in 27 districts of the state. Triplers, as you can see, are elated. The opposition not so much. The Stalin government's announcement has been met with anger, as the AIADMK has now called the DMK as hypocrites. Because last year, MK Stalin had led a protest against the EPS government's decision to open liquor shops. The BJP also held a statewide protest on Sunday against the government's decision.
As you saw, so you read. So that time, MK Stalin came out and said, playing with the lives of the people during pandemic. Isn't this government shameful to run this government through the source of liquor? These were the kind of narratives. He carried even a placard protesting against opening of TASMAC.
Chief Minister, when he was an opponent party, he opposed to open the TASMAC shop, that is liquor shops. He came to the power. Immediately he gave the order to open because now the cases are not reduced.
The DMK, however, has defended the move of reopening liquor shops, saying it has been done only in districts with low caseload.
Those people who have been protesting yesterday, the BJP leaders, why don't they cross 65 kilometers and go to Puducherry and go to the governor of Tamil Nadu and hold their slogans because they opened their liquor shop 1 week earlier. So why are you having two different ads? Why are you not? It suits you because you are not. They are now unable to find a single fault on our Chief Minister M.K. Stalin.
Amid a pandemic, if you're wondering why opening liquor shops is a priority, it's simple. Government-owned Tasmac shops are cash cows in the state and will help the government pool in much-needed revenue.
With liquor shops opening, the government has assured that all COVID norms will be followed. However, DMK is also facing flack for protesting against the same move last year, but changing stance after coming to power. With video journalist Divyan, Pramod Madhav for India Today.
Well, that is all we have time for on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.